most of the animal kingdom like has it different than we do. Like we're like one of the only ones that like us and like penguins and like a few other species that like actually like link up with somebody. You know what I mean? Like
I did not know that,
a lot
bro.
of animals are just out there like procreating. Like that's what.
So you said elk and deers?
Yeah, elk and deer.
So elks be kicking it with their homies like their whole life.
Like their whole life.
Yeah. Then they're like, yo, bro, hey, there's some bitches down there.
Let's go fuck, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So they do.
Actually, like so they smash and they leap back up.
Yeah, they smash them and they go. Yeah, that's it. Then they go hang out, like
that's
you know,
crazy.
go like butt horns and shit with their dudes and shit, like run around looking for food.
That's crazy. And we are back at the definition of active. It's your boy Daylight. Premium Skirt Skickety in here, man. And we're here with my boy Phil Ortega, the one and only, man. Peter Lawyer. How you doing, man?
Yo, I'm doing real good, man. Thanks for having me here.
Yo, I appreciate you even being here because this type of interview, we haven't had something like this before. I don't really see too many interviews like this either, where we get the perspective of somebody who's on the legal side of things when it comes to entertainment and music. So, like, to be able to hear your perspective is definitely something dope, and we're definitely appreciative of having you here, man. Thank you, bro. We appreciate it.
No doubt. No, seriously, you're welcome. It's my pleasure to share knowledge and information, man, because I have it and I want to give it to others so that they can, you know, succeed in this music business.
Fire,
you feel me?
Honestly, like, tell me. Let's start at the beginning. Like, tell me your story. Like, you're originally from Arizona. Talk about how you came up and what neighborhood you're from in Arizona, and like how that led to you like wanting to actually become like a lawyer and be on the legal side. Cause like you definitely could have took another like route with this. You know what I mean? Coming from where we like type of hoods that we come from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And you know that story about becoming a lawyer. Like, there's a lot of like other things that happen in between. So I'm gonna try to skip over most of that.
No, you good.
But just to start out, like, so I'm from South Phoenix, 19th Avenue in Rozier. Went to Roosevelt School. Grew up in Lindo Park, basically. You know what I mean? Like, that was my neighborhood I grew up in. Had a bunch of friends that were involved in street shit. That was never me, though. You know what I mean? I was more involved in like sports and going to school and like, you know, just trying to learn and stuff, you know, because I had it on both sides. I had my friends and then I had family that were involved in those things. And I, you know what I mean? I just didn't want any part of that. Like, I was cool with everybody, but it wasn't for me. You know what I mean? So then, you know, finished school, like leave the neighborhood or whatever. My parents moved to like 16th Street and Baseline when I got older, like 14, went to Central High School. And really, to be honest, like high school and stuff, like I was just kind of having fun. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I wasn't like, I was doing all right in school, but I wasn't really like focused on like the future. I was just, you know, being a little wild, you know what I mean? Playing sports and stuff. And so later on, you know, just kind of jump a few years because a few things happened in high school that, you know, kind of changed things. But what happened was, you know, I started getting serious about school when I went to college, right? Like real serious about school. I was working at Wells Fargo. I was a teller, like making good money. But I just like was kind of tired of school, you know what I mean? And so I started working at Zia Records. You know Zia Records?
Fire.
You know what Zia Records is, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah, man, because I always had this love for music. And like really like to get to the lawyer part, you got to understand like I had this love for music ever since I was a kid. My dad listened to classic rock. My mom listened to Motown. I had an older brother, like 7 years older than me, that he was listening to rap. You know what I mean? And so like I grew up on like,
it's a piece of you for
sure. Yeah. But like always, you know what I mean? Like that shit was always around me. Like my dad would have these parties on Friday nights. Like him and his boys would all get together. I probably shouldn't say too much because he's still alive. You know what I mean? But they had these parties, and they would like just like make mixtapes and shit. You know what I mean? Like that's literally, like my dad was making mixtapes, and so like I would just, you know, listen to all these like different like classic rock bands, Motown and all this stuff. So just growing up around a lot of music, like I had a love for music. So jumping back to when I'm 18 and like I think I'm kind of like getting on the straight and narrow again, you know what I mean? After kind of like not doing that great in high school, and then I found Zia Records, like just started going there all the time, shopping and stuff.
Salute to Zia Records. If you don't know what Zia Records is, look it up, educate yourself.
Facts. You know, Zia is one of the
staple Arizona,
one of the dopest spots. Like I still go there all the time, buy records and stuff. But yo, I started working there, and I ended up working there for like, so I ended up one day applying for a job there and getting it. And I ended up working there for 3 years, man. And like that completely like changed my life because now I'm like immersed in music. You know what I mean? I'm selling music. I'm talking about music. You know what I mean? Like
every day too.
Every day, meeting artists. You know what I mean? Like getting to go, and so, you know, that really kind of like opened my eyes up to like, hey, like there's a whole music business. You know what I mean? But I didn't really do anything with it then. Okay, so I worked there, find out about music business, but don't really do anything with music business at that time other than just being a retail clerk, right? Jump forward a little, I kind of move around, lived in Vegas, lived in San Francisco for a little while, and I actually became a teacher, okay?
That's fired.
Yeah, man, it was a dope experience. I didn't really know what I wanted to do in life. I knew I wanted to finish college. I knew that I wanted to help people. Like, that's really, like, intrinsically inside of me, like, I like helping people.
Yeah.
I like, you know, trying to give people something that, you know, that they don't have, right? And so I was living in San Francisco. I couldn't find a job at the time. This was during the .com boom or whatever. And so I couldn't find like even a retail job. And then, and so I'm just living there with nothing to do. And so one day I just walked across the street because there was this middle school across the street from where I was living called Washington Middle School. It's in Oakland. And so I went and just asked them like, "Hey, can I volunteer here? Like, I'm just looking for something to do." And so they let me. Yeah, man, it was super dope because I got to see firsthand like what it was like to be in education. And so that set me on that path of like, oh, I want to be a teacher.
A teacher,
yeah. So I did that. Went out and became a teacher. You know what I mean? I taught for a bunch of years.
Middle school kids too. That's a very important time in kids' life.
Yeah, for sure.
They're about to go into high school like right after that.
Yeah. It's
so those impressions, like you're planting seeds. You know what I mean? Like
trying, man. You know what I mean? Like trying, and I feel like I was good at it. But to get to like how I became a lawyer, like that it's important because when I became a teacher, I started teaching this class here in Arizona. So I moved back, finished college, got my teaching degree. And I was teaching this class in Arizona called the SEI class. It's Structured English Immersion. It's basically what anyone who's who's new to the United States and doesn't speak any English, it's the class they get put into. And the law said at the time that they had to be in that class for 4 hours a day with just kids like them, like other non-natives, like non-English speakers.
Oh, wow.
And so this was again an Arizona law. And because of that class, like that's why I went to law school, because I didn't really believe that was the best way for students to learn English.
They should be around other people that speak English.
Right.
Yeah, it's easier to learn that way.
Yeah. And so it was a great class. It was like the United Nations, to be honest. Like I had these kids from like refugee camps in Burma who would like just start standing up in the middle of class. Like they hadn't been in like school like this, you know what I mean? Yeah. They would just stand up in the middle of the class, start doing karate and shit.
That's crazy. That's dope, though.
I had this one kid from El Salvador that he was a jokester and shit. And then I got like this bunch of kids from Iraq at one point. Yeah. And so the kid from El Salvador went to the kids in Iraq and he was like, "Hey, you and me, we both hate America. Fuck you, America." Pop, 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 pop. Like went that to like the Iraqi, and I was like, "Yo, no, you can't do that, man." But inside wanted to die, but you know what I mean? Like you want to laugh at shit the kids do, but you can't as a teacher. You know what I mean?
You're like, "Hey, you can't do that."
Yeah. Hey, stop! Don't you can't say those things, man.
That's funny, but you can't. Can't do that, bro.
Right, exactly. Nah. But so like I like that class, but I just didn't like that. That's how we were telling schools that they had to teach kids English. Like I didn't agree with that.
It's like singling them out too.
Facts.
I don't think that's cool. You don't want to single them out.
It was almost stigmatizing. You know what I mean?
Did you say one of the words in the acronym is immersion?
Immersion, yeah.
Immersion? How are you immersing them when you're isolating them? It should be isolation.
Hey, preem for legislature, bro. I'm gonna vote you into office, man. You know more than them.
That's crazy. Like, you gotta make people feel like they're welcome, like they're a part of it. You know what I'm saying? Don't isolate them.
Facts.
That leaves, like, that's planting a seed that, you know what I'm saying, can become something that they carry within the rest of their lives. It makes them feel isolated and it makes them more standoffish. So comments like what the El Salvadorian kid said to the Iraqis he's always gonna have that mind state because they already have us separated from everybody. That's crazy. I didn't even know that they had like programs like that. You've been through like a dope little lane to get to becoming a lawyer. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, and I think that's, but that part of the story definitely sets up that that's who I am. Like at heart, like I have that like I want to help people mentality like inside of me. You know what I mean? Intrinsically, like that's who I am. That's why the teaching was so cool. But in the end, like, so I'm teaching that class. I'm not really agreeing with it, and I'm also working on my master's in educational leadership because I thought I wanted to be like an administrator, like a principal.
School and in school. How do you balance that,
bro? I've always just been a hustler, man. Like growing up where I grew up, like there was only one way out, and that was working hard.
That's real.
You know what I mean? And the crazy thing is, like, man, like I don't want to belittle the schools that I went to as a kid too much, but like, yo, hood schools were tough, man. You know what I mean? Like the teachers there were just trying to survive just like us because we were crazy, you know what I mean? And so like the kids around me were crazy. And so, you know, like I learned though that school was that, you know, it really is that kind of like great equalizer. Like you can do whatever you want, you know what I mean? If you put your money to it and, you know, or your mind to it and money. But, so while I'm doing the educational leadership, whatever, and then I'll kind of move this part fast. So my master's in educational leadership, while I'm working on that, I take this education in the law class and start learning that like the legislature is really impacting what schools can do. And so I was like, you know what, like let me kind of reverse course. Like I thought I wanted to be a principal, but actually now I'm going to go to law school so I can become an education lawyer. Because I want to represent school districts or I want to like be involved in like policy making, right? So I did that, bro. I went out and you know, became a lawyer. Got hired at an education law firm, the firm I'm at now, Udall Shumway. They're one of the biggest education law firms in the state. We represent a lot of the school districts here in Arizona, right?
Talk about it.
Dude, I mean, listen.
Represents whole districts, though.
Whole districts, man. Like, you know, they call us for everything. Like, we can, you know, we help districts with, like, contracts, employment issues, understanding federal, state law that impacts them to even, like, leases and stuff. Because school districts will, like, lease property, you know? Yeah, and so anything a school needs, like, on the legal side, because they're a business, they're also state regulated, you know what I mean? There's federal rules, so we can do all that. Special education, that's a huge one. So we do all that. And so I got hired at that firm to be an education lawyer. But yo, this crazy thing happened. 3 months in, and the dude that was doing immigration law there at the firm decided he was gonna leave to go in-house for his brother's company, and he couldn't take all his work with him, all his clients. He couldn't take that with him.
So he had to leave some.
So he had to leave it. And so I had helped him with a couple of things. And he was like, yo, can you want to take this book of business, as they call it, like all my immigration clients? And me just being like naive, but also wanting my own clients and again, like not being afraid of anything. I was like, hell yeah, I'll take all of it. And so all of a sudden, I'm like, you know, a couple years out of law school, and I have like a bunch of clients, like a whole bunch of clients.
In immigration law?
In immigration law, yeah.
That's crazy, man. That's a blessing, though.
Oh, man, it was beautiful. Listen, it was hard the first year that I had it. It was real hard the first year because I had to fix a lot of things. But, yo, learning from other people's mistakes is a good teacher.
How long does it take? Like, how long does a case typically take? Like, do you feel like?
Well, so for me, I mostly do employment-based immigration at the, you know, so that's like my bread and butter, employment-based immigration. That means I represent an employer who wants to sponsor a worker's visa, okay? And specifically, I represent school districts that want to hire teachers because right now we have more teachers leaving the profession than are actually coming in.
That's sad. I did not know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is it salary issues?
It's salary issues. It's the work level. It's stress. Damn. You know what I mean? It's a whole lot of things. But because of that, we're now hiring in Arizona a lot of teachers from foreign countries to come teach here. Wow. And so that's my job to help them get the visas, right? And again, this all ties together to the music law because, you know, that's really what we want to talk about.
No, yeah.
And you know, and this
it's good to know how you got to that, though.
And it's important because what happened that first when I took over immigration, there was nobody at the firm that was doing immigration law. I really had to learn that on my own. Go out and read, find mentors, you know what I mean? Go to CLEs, go to classes and stuff to like, you know, learn that because to be able to like represent
to
my
really
clients.
help them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I did that, man. And so even though I say there was a lot of work, there was really only like 12 clients that we had.
Okay.
Bro, in like 5 years, I grew that to over almost 70. Yeah, man. Like I have like 70 businesses that I represent now, school districts, tech companies, healthcare, you know, places, you know what I mean? Like all kinds of different companies that now call me as like their go-to for immigration law, right?
What are the hours for a lawyer? Like how long is your work day?
Bro, there is no set hours. I work on demand, you feel me?
So they get like all your clients and they just can call you whenever you're on retainer? Like how does that work?
I mean, most of them don't because most of them are businesses and they have normal business hours. But I mean, yeah, they can call me, they can email me, they can text me whenever.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
70?
Yeah, 7.
I see you, B.
Dude, I mean, I did it, but listen, the crazy, again, like what I learned from that situation was that if I put my mind to it, I can go learn anything I want. You know what I mean? Because I learned immigration law and I built this practice, bro. Ranking Arizona just ranked my law firm, my immigration law practice is 7th best in Arizona. Feel me? Like that's just me. You know what I mean? Like that's me on my own. Me and a paralegal, bro. Me and a paralegal. Like let me give props. Like I got a paralegal, Lily. Like she's very much a part of this. You know what I mean? Like, but it's me and her. That's it. I mean, we did that. You know what I mean? Southwest Lawyers, Rising Star. You feel me? Like all these awards, but I grew that from not knowing shit from when they handed it to me to this. You know what I mean?
You're fearless though. Fearless leader, man.
Bro.
Okay, so how do we get from this to now I want to help in the music industry, help artists?
So this whole time that I'm talking about when I become a lawyer, I started Flotivity Media. Right, a lot of people
salute to Flotivity.
Yeah, salute to Flotivity, man. One love. While and again, and this just goes back to me working hard. Like I'm a lawyer, I'm a full-time lawyer, but at the same time, I started a podcast, blog. You know what I mean? Doing write-ups, doing videos, doing all these things. Interviewing artists. The whole time I'm doing these things. Now I had no plans when I was doing Flotivity to become a music lawyer or to even jump in that music business space. I just did it for the love. Because I recognized there was a lot of dope artists here in Arizona that didn't have a platform for an interview. You know what I mean? That didn't have a platform to get a blog written about them. You know what I mean? And so I just did it. I took it upon myself to start doing it. Me and my boy Will. And while I'm doing it, I'm learning a lot about Arizona artists, learning a lot about music in general. And in the end, the one thing that was my biggest takeaway from Flotivity was that there's a lot of dope artists here, but there's very few who actually understand the music business side of things. Right?
It's a fact.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a music industry out here. There's not a...
And there is no industry out here.
Right.
It's gonna, that'll change,
Facts.
The infrastructure will begin to be like built and that will actually change, but it takes people like you and like us, you know what I mean, to be able to help build infrastructure like that and to educate, like. And a lot of artists haven't got to that point where they're ready to like start handling things with a lawyer, So
right. Yeah.
And that leads me to my next question: like, when do you think it's time for an artist to start looking for representation, legal representation?
Bro, I know you're trying to get there, but I gotta make this one point.
Oh, do your thing.
My bad. I just gotta finish this point.
My bad. You're good.
I gotta finish this point, right? So, so I find out that there's no, So I'm learning that a lot of artists don't know about the music business. And so I start taking it upon myself to, like, again, start learning it. Just like I learned immigration law. Yeah. Reading books. I got Donald Passman's book. You know what I mean? Music business, which, like, everyone needs to read it if you're in the music business. Like, that's, like, the Bible.
Say the book again?
Donald Passman, yeah, they know. Yeah, Donald Passman, that's the one. Everyone knows, man. You see any interview, like Chance the Rapper's manager or whatever, that one dude, Pat... Yeah. Talks about it. I mean, in interviews, like, that's the one. So I read that one. After that, I started reading other ones. Then I'm like, you know what? Like, wait a second. Like, one of the roles they talk about in here is a music lawyer. I knew there were music lawyers, but I hadn't really thought about it until that hit me. That, oh, wait a second. Like, I'm a lawyer. I can represent artists. You know what I mean? As long as I have the knowledge. Yeah. All right. Because I don't want to step into a situation and help people. Because now I'm just hurting them. Right. And so then I started reading contracts, started finding as many contracts as I can get my hands on, whatever. And really, like, I'd say like 2019, I had to stop doing Flotivity because I had my second kid. And that was just way too much for me to handle. I lost my business partner. He couldn't help me anymore. I tried to carry on, but it just became too hard to keep doing Flotivity.
To be able to balance it all.
Yeah. And so, it was just something that I was like, you know what, let me put this on the back burner because I want to come back to it and start focusing on helping artists learn the music biz. And so then I talked to a few artists that I really fucked with, and I just straight up asked them, I was like, listen, I don't have anything to offer you right now other than I'm willing to work hard if you're willing to allow me to help you. Like, I don't care if, like, you just want me to, like, help you with posting shit to DSPs. You know what I mean? Like if you want me just to like upload stuff to DistroKid.
Yeah.
Like I don't care what it is you want. I just want to learn. Like here I'm learning like the theoretical knowledge side of the music business, but I don't have any practical knowledge. So let me start helping you.
Yeah.
And man, and
so I can be hands on with it.
Right. And so God bless him. Like Jalopy Bungus is one of them. Like, dude, let me help him. You know what I mean? Like let me be in his camp and like see how things happen. You know what I mean? And so got that opportunity. And so learned about the like how things actually happen in the music business, from like release to promotion to everything else. You know, had some situations come up that I had to learn about, like some contracts and stuff, and so you know, just started learning, like just, you know, again up in my knowledge. 2019, 2020, and of course quarantine happened, so that allows me like more time to like to just soak it all in, and so that's all I did, man. I just soaked it all in, took on a mentor, you know what I mean. And then 2020 hit, man, and I got the craziest call ever. There was somebody, I can't name names because a lot of this is like stuff that hasn't been put out there, but someone hit me and they knew me from Floativity and they knew I was a music lawyer because I started talking about it a little more on Twitter. And then they hit me and they're like, yo, I got this artist that's about to sign this production deal with like a big time like production label. Mm-hmm. And they're like, can you review the contract? And I got that contract, man, and I spent like 20 hours on it. You feel me?
That's fire.
Like 20 hours. And so at that point, like I like to say, like March 2020, you know what I mean, after studying music business, music law for 2 years on my own, self-study, helping out artists on the side, like I started taking on clients, took on my first client, and you know, the rest became history, you know what I mean? Like,
how much does it cost to retain a lawyer for, like, just for that? Like, I need you can you go over this contract for me? Is that like on a situational basis, or like is there like a flat fee that you charge for like consultations and then to like retain your service? Because you don't charge by the hour, do you?
You do. I mean, there's situations.
Yeah. So how does it work?
So it varies on the situation that the artist needs, right? Okay. And so, you know, like there's situations like, you know, like right now I'm doing like an artist management termination. So they want to terminate the agreement that they have with their manager. Mm. That right there is on an hourly basis. Mm. If someone's signing a deal and there's money involved, then it's a percentage deal. Mm. And typically it's like 3 to 5% of the contract, right? Okay. And so, yeah, so it just all depends. I mean, so there's artists that have me on retainer. They call me for all kinds of stuff. I mean, because there's all kinds of contracts, right? All kinds of just advice that they need to be given. Now, for me personally, like if someone wants to hit me up, let's say like, you know what I mean, you got something going on and like you know you just want to talk about it. You know what I mean? Bro, I'm free. Like I'm not gonna charge somebody that's gonna come out of a situation with $0. Yeah. 3,000. You know what I mean? Like if it's just gonna take me 5 to 10 minutes of my time to explain something to you, then I'm gonna do that for free. You know what I mean? Like let's do it pro bono, because I just don't want artists getting screwed. Yeah. You feel me? Like there's a group that hit me up recently, and they were about to sign this deal. And I mean, the deal wasn't worth a lot. It was like 18, you know, so I would have made probably like, you know, $900 off of it. And, you know, and giving them their fair deal, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like I told them, I was like, listen, if you guys don't sign this deal and you guys don't get anything, like I'm not going to charge you for this.
Because I can't charge you 0 for 0.
Right, exactly. Like you guys aren't getting anything. And at the same time, like I saw when I first saw the deal, it was predatory. Bro, it was a straight up loan. Like they were literally going to get $18,000 and have to pay back $48,000.
That's crazy.
And there was nothing else attached to it other than money. Like they weren't getting label services, they weren't getting marketing money. You know what I mean? Like they were just getting like
how many? I mean, if you can disclose this information, but was that like a one page, or was there like a bunch of pages in that contract that pretty much just said that at the end of the day?
That contract was like 5 or 6 pages.
5 or 6 pages of us like letting you know, like, yo, we'll give you 18 bands, but you're going to have to give us back 50 bands.
Yeah. I mean, it's yo,
crazy, yo. A lot of artists see an amount of money and see a bunch of words and not even take the time to read it themselves.
Right.
I bet you, and I'm not trying to like shit on the industry, because, you know, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of good business that happens in the industry at all times too. You know what I mean? There has to be a balance. But they just see the money amount and they don't even want to like look at, because that's crazy.
Well, right? No, it is crazy. And
it's more than 2 times as much.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. Like it's and like they were giving up like ownership of stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was predatory. It really is. You know what I mean? And there are deals like that. I mean, there's good deals too. Like I can't wait till I can start talking about this one label that's popped up that's now giving incredibly great deals to artists, in my opinion. I mean, basically like monthly stipends for like 2 years of like, hey, here's an amount of money. You just go be an artist for a couple years. You know what I mean? Like, there's labels doing good. There's labels doing good work. It's not all bad, but the point, I think the bigger point that you and I are making here is like that money. It looks nice, especially when you don't have anything.
Facts.
Especially when you've been paying for videographers out of your own pocket. You know what I mean? You posted to the DSPs on your own. You know what I mean? You paid that monthly distro
Paying
kit.
engineers, paying for graphic designers, paying for lawyers, paying for everything.
Well, before you even get to the lawyers, like paying everything it costs to upload a song and promote it, right? Yeah. Like, you paid all that out of your own pocket, and now someone's like, yo, I'm going to give you $20,000. And you're like doing the numbers in your head, like, oh, that's a whole lot of songs I can release. You know what I mean? Like, that's a whole lot of marketing money that I didn't have before. That's some playlisting money.
Facts.
You know what I mean? And so and when you don't have anything, that's appeasing. That's appetizing, right? Like, that's like, oh yeah. And so some people will like sign anything. You know what I mean? They will. But at the end of the day, though, they shouldn't. Especially here in Arizona, because I mean, I'm telling artists right now, if you're in Arizona, fucking you're anywhere, and you call me, I'm going to look at that deal and I'm going to tell you, nah, you probably shouldn't sign that. And here's why. It's on you. You're going to get money. But at the end of the day, like, here's what you're losing. Here's what you're giving up. Because there's things that you got to think about it. Like, no one's giving you money for free.
No.
Right? No one's giving you money for free.
What's reasonable to give up?
I think it depends on the situation.
Every situation is different. What you can leverage, right?
You can always leverage it, yeah. I mean, it really depends on why they reached out to you. So for some artists, if you have a great song and it sounds good and someone's like, yo, I'm going to give you a production deal, then you're probably going to give up a lot for nothing, or for a little bit of money, right? If you have something that's popping and TikTok's going crazy too, your IG's going crazy, well, now you have a little bit of leverage, okay? And so now you can start saying like, okay, like, yeah, I'll take this money. You can have the song as a license. Like, I'm not going to give it to you. I'm not going to sign away my ownership of it. Yeah. And in the end, like, you get that back after like a term of so many years. But yeah, I mean, it just really depends on every situation. I mean, there's a lot of different deals out there. I mean, there's production deals where a label basically wants to help you produce a record. There's distribution deals, I
think, because I feel like with everything is situational. Everything's on a situational
it really
basis,
is. Yeah,
you know what I mean? So like, do you feel like artists should be trying to like move independent, or they should be looking to sign to a label?
I honestly don't believe anyone should be looking to sign anywhere. I think nowadays with the resources that artists have available to them, with social media, being able to market on social media, with being able to upload to Level and United Masters and all these places, with being able to reach out and get playlisting on your own, other kind of marketing on your own, I think artists should be trying to build fan bases. And no, wait, let me back up. I think artists first should be trying to make music that's like legitimate and authentic to them. Yeah, exactly. Like I think that's the first start.
Most important thing.
Yeah. Exactly. 100%.
Make sure the music's dope first.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's what you're standing on at the end of the day.
Facts.
You know what I mean? So make dope music first. Then once you got that make dope music, now you try to find fans for that music. You know what I mean? And you just keep marketing it, promoting it. I've heard people say that you just try to build, find one fan a day. Right, that's it, and just keep building and building and building.
Try to get to that 1,000.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to get to that, because here's at the end of the day, when you're popping like that, they'll find you.
Facts.
Labels will, and then you make that decision.
Leverage.
Yeah, then you have that leverage. Exactly. You know what I mean?
That's crazy. So what is what's the worst contract you've seen without like calling out the company?
Man, it's. I would say it's actually one that was worth $800,000 to an artist.
Woo!
It was a lot of money, but in my opinion, I don't think, and I think the artist agrees with me. I don't think the artist was ready to take on that kind of debt, because you got to remember, like, that kind of money.
That's a loan.
That's a loan, and what that artist was going to give up was ownership of everything they made for like the next like 50 tracks.
Damn.
And the payback, the recoupment terms were terrible. I mean, we're talking like 1980 recoupment terms. So recoupment is if a record label gives you all this money,
Yep.
okay, they're now going to use the money that your songs make to pay that back.
Pay them back, and you can't recoup it till after that's already been paid back.
So after that's gonna. But here's the thing: it's not a dollar for dollar recoupment, right? So whatever percentages there are, that's how much they're taking to pay themselves back. Okay, and so in this deal, the deal was 18% for the artist, 82% for the label. So yeah, so that means when you think about it, that means for every $100 the music was making, the label was taking 82 and keeping it, and then they're using your $18 that you're supposed to get
to pay back what you owe.
To pay back what you owe.
That's so crazy.
You know how many $18 it takes to pay back 800,000?
Yo,
You feel me?
That's crazy. And the thing is, like, you'll sign that deal because you see the $800,000. You want that cash up front. You're like, yo, I could change me and my people's lives right now, like real quick with a couple flips.
Well, I mean, but the thing is, it's never all up front. Like there's
It's in pieces, huh?
Oh yeah, 100%. So it was like 100,000 on the first record. Then there was like 7 options after that of like $100,000 each. And again, for some artists, they may be able to make that back. I mean, you think about that. Like, there's artists that can come out and do that, but as like a newer artist that doesn't have any hits under their belt, like that's a scary proposition, a scary situation to get into.
That's a lot of debt.
That's a lot of debt.
They're gonna get their money too, or try.
I mean, I mean, here's the thing though. These contracts exist this way because record labels have lost on artists. You feel me? Like,
you think they lose on more artists than they win on?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think that the artists, like, I think like the Drakes of the world pay for other artists.
Make up for it, huh?
Facts. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Like 82%.
Yeah, 80. And again, like,
that's like bullying, man. It feels like, we'll give you this money. Yeah, take this 800. That's almost $1 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to a person that's never seen that much money, that's crazy. Salute to the artist for realizing, like, yo, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate y'all, but
right.
It's a lot of debt.
I mean, it's a lot to walk away from, but when you look at it that way, it's a lot of debt. Plus, I mean, you got to think about like the ownership aspect, right? So again, in that deal, the artist gave up ownership of their records. Whatever they made, that now became the property of the label.
Damn.
So, I mean, and you got to think like that property can become valuable one day. I mean, look at like Bruce Springsteen, David Bowie, all these like legacy acts. They recently sold, they have ownership of their masters.
Yeah.
They sold their catalog for 250, 300, 400 million, 500 million. And so that's money that they were able to make off that because they owned it. If you don't own that,
you can't make it.
Then you can't make that, right?
Damn.
And so like that ownership piece, like that's huge too because, you know, like you're giving up something that's going to have value someday potentially, right?
It sucks when the music part stop being fun and get all serious like this. It's all fun when you're making the songs with your homies and with the engineers and the beats. Like, it's all beautiful as music. Then you get into this and it's like, dang, like, I can't even physically see these percentages, but I know they're very important. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, now you own something that you had no part in creating. Like, that's crazy. 82% just seems like such a crazy amount to me to, like, even tell somebody, like, yo, this is how much we're going to get, though.
No, 100%. I mean, that's I mean,
can you pay that? What if you made money, like, off your merch or off of touring and you had enough money to pay that back? Would you be straight?
I mean, you can, yeah. I mean, you'd have to go to the label and like offer that. You know what I mean? It'd have to be. I mean, and you can buy back things.
They can turn that down.
Yeah, I mean, the contract. If the contract doesn't say, "Hey, you can one day pay us off with this," like, yeah, they certainly can.
That's crazy.
I mean,
that's
but
crazy.
I mean, these contracts are crazy though. That's the thing, and again, like I said, 5 to 6 pages for that one.
Yeah.
I mean, these things are like sometimes like 18 to 25 pages, and that's why it's important, like, to have someone look it over. You know what I mean? Have someone review it. You know what I mean? Even if it's the smartest person you know. I mean, again, I wouldn't recommend that. You know what I mean?
Have a lawyer.
Yeah, have a lawyer, definitely. But, you know what I mean? Like, at least let somebody else, like someone that's not blinded by that money, because there's a lot of stuff in there that you got to unpack. You know what I mean?
So, I can rewind back to the question I had before. When should an artist, when is it time for them to start seeking, like, legal help?
So I would say I would say that as soon as they have something that, as soon as they have legal questions, to be honest with you, like, I mean, there's a lot. Let me back up. To see, there's a lot of information on the internet about like legal stuff, right?
That you can find yourself.
That you can find yourself. Yeah, I think early on artists should start mining, like looking for that. You know what I mean? Start digging for that. As soon as money starts getting involved, as soon as contracts start getting involved, then they should definitely be hiring a lawyer. Definitely. As soon as they start getting management, because typically managers come before lawyers. Like, it shouldn't be that way. Like, if you get a manager deal, you should go hire a lawyer
before you even sign the manager deal.
Before you even sign the manager deal. Here's why. A manager deal. A manager deal. A management deal is going to look like this. Managers typically going to take 20% of all your gross compensation. So that's everything from royalties, advances, touring, sometimes merch, right? And then there's going to be all these things that the manager can and cannot do or should do, right? And so before signing that deal, you have to be aware of what those things are. You know what I mean? Like, you should have a lawyer like review that to say, like, okay, here's what's going to happen next. You know what I mean? This manager is going to, you know, let's say the manager's in LA. The manager's going to come to Arizona and they're going to book a hotel room for the night. You know that you're actually on the hook for that hotel room? Like, the management deal will typically say, like, any costs I incur as your manager, those are going to be paid by you, the artist. 'Cause I'm not paying, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not paying those out of my own pocket.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? So like, these are little things that, like, artists should be aware of when they're signing a management deal. Feel me? And so I think that anytime contracts start getting involved, definitely hire a lawyer. Definitely.
This has been very insightful, man. Tell the people where they can like get your information, where they should like look for if they want to like start seeking legal like help, like with their career. Let them know where to find you at, Pete.
Yeah, word. Again, appreciate you having me on here, and allowing me to say this. Like, so look me up on the internet. Phil David Ortega, attorney, is the easiest way to find me. I work at a law firm called Udall Shumway. If you just Google those things, you'll be able to find me. I'm on Twitter at, oh man, I'm supposed to know this off the top, right?
I got you.
It's
P.D.
P.D.
Yeah.
Yeah, P.D. Yeah, look me up, P.D. Instagram, I think it's the same, P.D. Oh, P.D. 99. Look me up either places. I mean, I take DMs at both places. And again, happy to just, you know, share my knowledge with anybody. You feel me? Like, I really am just happy. So I'm glad, you know, I can take this opportunity because, like, this knowledge I have, like, it's not for me. You know what I mean? Like, it's not me doing me any favors. You know what I mean? I want to help artists. You know what I mean? So yeah. So happy to take DMs and stuff at both those places.
All right, and before we go, I have one last question because, like, I just have to ask you. So I know you're pretty much, I know you have eyes, you have your ears and eyes to the game. You see what's happening with YSL and Young Thug and all that.
Yeah.
So what would you say to artists and what, like, they're putting in their music and how it can, like, incriminate them and put them in, like, serious situations? And, like, how do you feel about what's happening with Thug and YSL? Like, because they're using their music against them.
Yeah.
If you're defending that case, what's the next moves you feel like you would make for them? Like,
man,
does that fall under like you're like
no, it doesn't, but I have an opinion on it.
Okay, go ahead.
So I mean, that's criminal, right?
Yeah.
So RICO charges are criminal. I mean, RICO was created to take down the mafia, basically.
Facts.
And yeah, I mean, literally that's what it was.
Yeah.
And it's been used to take down gangs. So here's the I don't like how the law is trying to use artists' lyrics against them, right? However, I'm also intimately familiar and know that artists are putting real shit into their songs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's a dangerous situation. I mean, Draco the Ruler, you know, rest in peace. He had issues that came up with, you know, with some murder charges because of his lyrics.
He
you know what I mean?
almost didn't get out either.
He almost didn't. You know what I mean?
For real.
A real unfortunate situation for that dude. But so, you know what I mean? Like, it's a dangerous line. And I know that a lot of these artists, you know what I mean? They're coming from the streets. They're talking about real shit. If you're going to do that, you know what I mean? Like, it's potentially going to be used against you because courts are allowing that. I don't like it at all. I don't. You know what I mean? I don't.
It feels like it's like a whole initiative, low key.
I mean, listen, the cops are listening to rap music. You know what I mean?
Hip hop police have been around forever, though.
Forever.
Yeah,
I mean, you know what I mean?
That's
Yeah.
real, but freedom, guys, man. Just watch what you say on these songs. You know, you can't have your foot in and out.
Yeah.
You know, that's what's really important. I don't think people realize you can't be doing both. You gotta pick one. You know, you might not want to. Either you're gonna do this for real with this business, or you're gonna be in the streets, man. One of them's gonna take over the other. I feel like, you know. So,
but I mean, one begets the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some people, they have something to rap about because they were in the streets.
facts.
You know what I mean? Like that's their whole image, and
So
so
they feel like they gotta stay.
exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, dude, like if you're gonna do that, I mean, you just gotta be careful. You know what I mean? Like you just gotta be careful. That's it.
Well, I appreciate you, P. I'm glad you came here to sit with us.
Oh, no
The
doubt.
Definition of Active, man. Make sure that you guys follow him. And if you need any legal advice, you know, you have all the connections where to get to him on the website and on Twitter. It was a pleasure having you, man. Educate yourself, y'all, before you make. It's not just about making the music. Everything else matters to it, man. And we appreciate having you, man. The Definition of Active. Stay like Prima, I'm out, man. Skirt Skiggity, we here.
Peace.
Thank you.